Hey guys, here I want to discuss a little bit about the Edelbrock RPM air gap intake manifold for the 94 Camaro Z28. This is what I'm doing for a DIY port job. So what I'm using is this drill from Harbor Freight. The reason why I'm using it is because very high RPM. I'm using a port and polish kit from Jags, and then so on the end of that you can see the threads where that little sandpaper drum goes on. But in order to reach into deeper areas, what I do is I put a little super glue on that tip and I slide that little sandpaper drum on there, so then I get a little further reach. So that's my port setup. Now what I'm doing, there's not too much information on the RPM air gap. I'm assuming it flows the same as a stock lt1, it just has an air gap. But what can be done, and what I'm doing, is I'm lining up the gasket ports to the ports on my trick flow heads. And another thing that you can knock down while you're in here, you can see this little bump here where the body of where it needs, when they're molding it, they need to go in there, and they need to offset it in there so the body of the injector can fit in. That's the injector hole. And then on this side, this would be the driver's side. On the driver's side, the very front port has this little piece right here you can shave down. It was up higher. I worked on it a little bit. You can see it was quite a bit higher. I shaved it down. So here you can see where the injector body goes, right there. And then here's one that I've knocked down a little bit. Here you can see, took it down quite a bit compared to one that hasn't been taken down. You don't want to go in too far because you don't want the metal to get too thin to where you see light going through, but just enough to where you can increase the flow. And here's one that I already finished, one port. You kind of want it to line up with the gaskets. If the gaskets line up with the heads, you might need to do some work on the gaskets itself. And so that's what I did.